I'm Jim Cedar from the Wine Enquirer, and I'm very pleased, very excited to be here today with Bob Betz, the head winemaker extraordinaire, I guess I should say, here at Betz. He's had well over 30, almost 40 years of experience. And Bob, clearly there is a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of energy going on in the Washington wine scene. You've been around for quite a while. You've seen the growth here. To what do you attribute this sort of newfound energy? Finally, Jim, yes, there is this excitement, this international enthusiasm, national acceptance for the Columbia Valley and what we're doing with reds and whites here. And I think it's based on finally appreciating and discovering what it is that makes Washington unique. And that is, it's first and foremost part of this great west coast of the U.S. phenomenon, the interaction between the Pacific Ocean and these intermountain valleys that you have in Washington, Oregon, and California that give you these protected areas to grow grapes. And depending on the conditions within each of those, people have finally discovered that Washington is part of that group, okay, part of that group of states. Plus, you have the sheer energy that's been put into promoting Washington as a viticultural region. You and I were having a discussion earlier about the diversity, the heterogeneous nature of the soils and the terroir here. It's really very complex, as a result of the Missoula floods 150-odd thousand years ago. And I was asking you, how does that factor into winemaking here in terms of, does that make it more difficult? Does that make it easier for you? And does that provide challenges in terms of educating the wine enthusiasts?
Challenges and opportunities, both. Challenges from a marketing standpoint, if you will, but also from learning as a wine grower, as a winemaker, learning the specificity of the character that comes from that particular soil type, climatic conditions that exist at that vineyard. But opportunity, for me, is making this range of character, complexity, taste, sensations that come from individual vineyards. You're exactly right. There is this complexity of soil that we find as the result of volcanoes and earthquakes and high winds from the coast and ice from the Missoula flood thing. It's a tale of fire and ice, if you will. And what we find is that there is this diversity of soil types, but you do have sites that are heavier gravel, heavier sand, heavier silt, loam, river rock, bedrock, degrading basalts. You've got all those that interplay. And so, to me, the key for any wine grower, winemaker in Washington is coming up with site variety marriages that work. And every decade, we make improvements on matching the right variety to the right site. Take Red Mountain, great AVA within the Columbia Valley. Back 30 years ago, they tried some Chenin Blanc and Riesling and Chardonnay, but if you look at the vineyards planted on Red Mountain today, they are really predominantly red by a huge margin, and we're learning that Cabernet Sauvignon is pretty much king on Red Mountain, followed probably by Merlot and Syrah, kind of back and forth. That being said, Petit Verdot. If I were a younger man, I'd be planting Petit Verdot. I think it's a wonderful performer here in Washington. We farm 3 different sites, 2 on Red Mountain and 1 in a warm site in the Yakima Valley. And I'm very impressed with what we're getting.